Welcome to One-on-One with Expert Flyer, where we bring you the best of what's happening in travel from industry gurus and experts. I'm your host, Lisa Caslin, and today we have the honor of Greg Geronemus, who is the co-CEO of SmartTours.com, and they've been around for quite some time. Welcome, Greg. I'm so happy that you got to join us on this very loud St. Patrick's Day.
There you go. Happy to be here from Midtown Manhattan, so right in the thick of things, and thank you for making the time.
Okay. I hope you have your Guinness there at the ready.
That's right.
So we did catch up a little bit at the New York Times travel show a couple of months ago, and that was great. And you had a lot of really interesting things to talk about, particularly as it relates to what you might call now a misnomer that the label of international travel being extravagantly expensive is really not so much the case anymore. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think it's been a decade or decades long exercise from many tour operators out there, many participants in the travel industry, of pulling the wool over consumers' eyes and creating this misperception that you need to be in the top 1% in order to travel internationally, to travel to those bucket list destinations, and that's simply not the case. A lot of people just rule out China, rule out South Africa, rule out South America because they just assume it's going to be out of reach for them. But there are operators like Smart Tours that are able to provide China for around $1,000, including airfare, including four-star hotels. There are operators like Smart Tours that are able to provide South Africa, including airfare, four-star hotels and safari experiences for under $2,000. So there aren't many of us, but there are a few of us that are committed to debunking this myth, to expanding the access to international travel.
Now, but how are you doing this? Is it because, I mean, you're not, new on the block here. You've been around for 20 years, right?
Correct.
How are you? Is it because you've had long-term relationships, and this was even before you became a .com, or what is it?
It's a combination of relationships, and also just experience in terms of understanding how to buy travel, how to negotiate with airlines, with hotels, knowing that if you go a few weeks prior to peak season, you can save your clients a tremendous amount of money. If you are willing to go off season, then you can save an exorbitant amount of money. And it's also a matter of just being tough with suppliers and being opportunistic when opportunities present themselves. So when we got an opportunity from our suppliers to put out the best ever pricing to South Africa, 9 days, including airfare, from $14.99, we worked hard over Christmas and New Year's to make it happen. And we got the offer out there through some of our marketing partners, create a lot of buzz about it, and hundreds of people in February and March went to South Africa for around $1,500 a person. Really incredible pricing, and some of the best pricing that anyone's ever seen in the market.
Now that the dollar has really been carrying some pretty hefty strength these days, particularly over the euro, you must really be in a great position in terms of even better deals.
That's correct, and with some caveats. It's important for people to realize that that airfare is a significant portion of the cost of an international travel experience, and airfare is denominated or quoted in U.S. dollars, so you're not going to experience as much of a shift as you'd think. Mm-hmm. However, there's no question that the strength of the U.S. dollar is making this a wonderful time to travel abroad, and a lot of people are talking about the euro with the dollar being, and the euro almost being at par. But there have been some significant shifts in other parts as well. The Japanese yen not too long ago was at 77 to the U.S. dollar, and now it's at 120. The South African rand not too long ago was below 8 to 1. Now it's above 12 to 1. That's really significant. So not only does it allow us to deliver a better price point, but it also allows our travelers, when they are overseas, to get much more for their dollar, to dine at restaurants that they wouldn't have been able to before, to buy things, goods, other arts that they wouldn't be able to before, and it creates a lot of great opportunities.
That's great. And I know you're very hot on South Africa and other parts of Asia as well. But if you were to name a couple of European destinations that are typically, really sort of expensive, maybe Germany might be one, France might be another. Are there any specific deals where, okay, now is really the time to go to that country in Europe?
Yeah, I would say there are a number of great options in Europe now, and there are a couple of places in Europe that are known to be very expensive, but can be accessed more affordably than people realize. Ireland is one of those places. There's a great supply of 4-star and 5-star quality hotels that a budget-conscious traveler can access at a reasonable price. We have a great 2-week package to Ireland for around $23.99, including airfare, and very inclusive in terms of meals and other sightseeing activities. There's also, there's even opportunity in France to go, below the $2,500 price point for a week and a half, including airfare, and that's a destination that you'd think is always going to cost you an arm and a leg, but again, that's not necessary. So yeah, even in Europe, you can find your pockets of opportunity. Not going to be the same sort of shocking pricing that you see in other parts of the world, but you can still find opportunity.
Okay, so before we wrap up, Cuba is very hot. It's sort of the it child now in travel, and I think a lot of people, especially the adventurous types who want bragging rights, to say, oh, I've been there. Are there some things that we need to look out for? What is it that we don't know that we should know?
Well, it's important to know that you can't yet just hop on a plane, travel to Cuba, and sit on the beach for a week. That doesn't cut it as far as the U.S. government is concerned. You need to travel under one of 12 permitted reasons, and the most common is what we at Smart Tours offer, which is the people-to-people program, where you go to Cuba and you actually are obliged to interact with the Cuban people, which in our opinion makes it a richer and more interesting experience. But it isn't the beach experience or that the Canadians or the Europeans have when they go to Cuba. But in our opinion, it makes it a richer experience. But as far as drawbacks, I would say that people need to adjust their expectations in terms of hotel standards. They don't have the same in terms of top-notch hotels that a lot of Americans expect, not only in the U.S. but around the world, and so expectations need to be appropriately adjusted. But I think if they are, it can be a truly wonderful travel experience.
Okay, great. And you are offering packages right now.
We are. Again, not at the shocking pricing that we have to Asia or South Africa, but we are very proud about the value that we're able to provide for a week and a half, including airfare, for a little under $3,000. We feel good about that price compared to the market.
Okay, so before we sign off, is there anything that you'd like to tell us? Anything special, or maybe news coming out associated with Smart Tours?
Well, we're always exploring new destinations, and the best way to stay in the loop is to go to our website, www.experttours.com, with one T in the middle, and also to join our email list, because that's where we announce our new tours. I was recently in Egypt, and that may be on the horizon for us to relaunch. It used to be a very big destination for us, and it's really one of those bucket list places that you have to see. So stay tuned on Egypt from Smart Tours.
Great. Well, we will look forward to that, and I hope we have you on again soon.
Thank you. Take care.